Let's ask the man who's at the forefront of all this. House Committee Judiciary Chair, he is Jim Jordan. Jim, when the Google story came out, were you surprised?
Yeah. No, look, this is how this whole thing operated. You played the clips of Taibbi and Schellenberger. They're the ones that came up with the name, the censorship industrial complex, which was big government, the Biden administration pressuring big tech to censor Americans. And typically it was conservatives, and typically it was relative to statements made regarding COVID, the vaccine, and that whole ordeal. So, no, this was, we expected this. We've been doing this investigation. And Google admitted, Brian, the exact same thing that Meta admitted a year ago. The Biden administration pressured them to censor. They did it. They're now sorry. They're not going to do it anymore. And to Google's credit, they have reinstated people's accounts, people they kicked off of YouTube, like Dan Bongino, for example, high-profile individual like him, but thousands of other people who got kicked off. So they're not now all going to be able to get back on, to get their accounts back at YouTube, which, again, we think is a win for the First Amendment, a win for free expression.
And you also, now you said you're focused on Europe and what they're doing with our tech companies and to their own population.
Yeah. No, exactly. Remember what happened a couple weeks ago? We had Nigel Farage testifying about how bad it's gotten in the UK, how bad it's gotten in the EU. And the week that he testified, 2 days prior to that, you had Graham Linehan, a comedian, who puts out a tweet. Graham is he is a Irish citizen. He was in Phoenix, so in the United States, puts out a tweet, flies to the UK, lands at Heathrow Airport, and gets arrested. So an Irish citizen for tweeting in America gets arrested in the UK. It's just a matter of time before that happens to an American. So we're very concerned about the impact it has on free expression in Western culture. Right. But more specifically, the impact it could have on Americans' First Amendment liberties. We're the only country that has a First Amendment. We're very nervous about what the European Union, what the UK are doing with their various legislation they have passed that limits free speech, limits free expression.
I know. Knowing the president, he'll look to leverage that and make them open up. The other big story this week, we closed the week out with James Comey being indicted on 2 separate charges by a grand jury. Some, like Andy McCarthy and others who are on the right, or are conservative, usually thinkers, are not too high on this case. Are you?
No, I mean, look, I think if Jim Comey, if they believe he lied to Congress and he obstructed justice, let's move forward. What I do know is the things that Jim Comey has done that I think were wrong. I think he leaked classified information. I think he was pushing to do that. I think he went and set up Michael Flynn, back at the start of this administration. Remember when he talked about, he said, oh, well, we should have called the White House counsel, but we thought we could get away with it. So they go over and they set up the General Flynn. So Jim Comey's, I think, done all kinds of things wrong. And I remember when we deposed him, I mean, literally one of the most arrogant individuals I have ever been around. So, yeah, I think this is warranted. I think this is the right thing to do. And remember, this is when it all started. Back in 2016, after the election, before Inauguration Day, they changed the intelligence community assessment, Brian. Remember, this is what Tulsi Gabbard brought forward 9 weeks ago. Whistleblower came to her and said they had one intelligence community report. They changed that, and they made it sound much worse than it was to establish a predicate to start the Mueller investigation and go after President Trump. And what they really did is once they changed that report, Comey, Clapper, and Brennan all go up to Trump Tower on January 6, 2017. They briefed the president on the new change report that wasn't supported by the real underlying intelligence. They briefed him, and then Comey leaks the fact that they briefed the president on the dossier. The dossier that they knew was false, the dossier that they knew was garbage, the dossier they knew was paid for by the Clinton campaign and authored by a foreigner. They briefed the president on that, leak it to the press, and thereby give it credibility. And then they were off and running. They had established the predicate. They'd given a reason to have the whole Mueller investigation and to undermine President Trump's first term. So Jim Comey deserves whatever the Justice Department has found to go after him. If it's obstruction or if it's lying to, 18 U.S.C. 1001 lying to Congress, I think all that is warranted. God bless the Justice Department for holding someone accountable who started it all 10 years ago.
And my sense is he won't be the last. And by the way, forget about Republican or Democrat. It hurt the country. Congressman Jim Jordan, Chairman, thanks so much.
You bet. Thank you.